Today I'm doing okay-ish. Yesterday night was when I started to feel right. Today is okay. I've been fighting mental me again. I just don't have any of those pills for terrible depression. Oh well. Well, forget about me. Let's see what the finder can show for thee. Bowing down to Tohoku again. Last one we talked about, he had about 10 minutes. Or the 2 minutes was a very short one. There we go. Oh yeah, that's right, the old monk guy. Next one. Ooh, 4 more. Yeah. I think I know what that one is. This is the next one. Kosodate Yūrei. Yūrei means, well, phantom ghost. Child rearing? Okay. Kosodate Yūrei. Anyway, it doesn't eat at all, I guess because it's a ghost. It habits anywhere that it can find humans to haunt. Oh, of course it can, but the length here is not that long either. Okay. Well, how it appears, they are basically ghosts of mothers. Oh. Childbirth mommies. Oh. That happens a lot, especially over here. That reminds me. Women die in childbirth. Maternity death. Here we go. A mother dies and is taken by angels as her new child is taken away. A grave from 1863. Measurements. Here we go. The 4 measurements of this is maternal mortality ratio, maternity mortality life, lifetime risk of maternal death, and proportion of maternal deaths among women of reproductive year. Maternity ratio is the number of deaths per given time period for every 100,000. Maternity rate is the number of deaths in a population divided by the number of reproductive age per 1,000. Again, all these numbers make no sense. I'm supposed to enjoy math, but here we go. PM, women of reproductive age, is the number of maternal deaths given ages 15 to 49. Wow. It's because the young ladies get assaulted and some of them do get childbirth. Would you really want to have your child, who's a 15-year-old girl who's struggling to learn schooling, to be forced to do this and give birth to a child? Anyway. That's not what I want to listen to. Anyway, so basically, if you see a ghost like this, who's kind of like, I guess, I don't know. Basically, they return to the world of the living because of their attachment to the child. And their lingering motherly duties. They want to be a mom, but after they die, they just can't. Like all ghosts, they appear as a faint image of their former selves, of course. They're also wearing burial clothes, or else the clothes that were worn in their lifetime. That's the question about ghosts. When they say, like, oh, this guy died a soldier. When a man dies as a soldier, you would see him actually still carrying a rifle, looking like the Civil War or Revolutionary War or World War I. Their outfit. When they die, the question is, what do you expect to see? Some people see a black shadow. Some people see, like, these little blue-white orbs. Some people just see a white thing that's shaped like a figurine. Maybe if you see the full figure, they actually see clothes. Anyway, they often appear less horrific when compared to the scarier types of Yūrei. They appear to shopkeepers or travelers and often return to the same place over and over again. And right here, this is one thing about when they talk about hell. Maybe this is your fucking hell. People are like, oh, hell is burned in fire and brimstone. Yeah. Some people probably see it like that. But then there's actually this episode of, what's that show called? Well, it was supposed to be a DC show where someone from DC, this Satan guy, Lucifer, or something like that, he ends up meeting with and it becomes one of those spiritual things that merges with the police force shows, blah, 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 who cares? That's getting old. But he said in an episode, I remember this line, he said that you humans put yourselves in this type of hell, which is basically your personal pain over and over, and it plays it in your head. So we don't know actually what hell looks like until we die. But rather it's in Japan or other things, because this one is like one of those ghosts where it's not only specifically to Japan, because it just says child-rearing ghost. It's basically someone who died from childbirth, which is basically a lot. But the question though is, if we were to compare it, that's what they're gonna do. I'm not gonna look at these more numbers, but like, how many people in Japan? How many women in Japan died from childbirth? How many women in America? How many women in Europe? That's the questions. It's a rhetorical question. Anyway, how do they interact with these people? The child mothers, they exist to fulfill one purpose: to see to the well-being of the child. Of course, that's what all moms want. They try to do this by buying candy or other things for their children. They have no money, so they pay with whatever they can, sometimes with dead leaves. This sounds like I've heard this story before. Anyway, they seek out living people whom they try to lead back to the location of their waiting baby. If the baby is discovered and taken care of, you find the child, and once you actually find out that the child feels good, they finally rest. Until then, though, they will appear every night. Ooh, the legend stories. This is how it begins. But that's how most ghosts are. A lot of people, whether they die in a, in a taxi cab or a wave or something. Because some people, there were some videos in Japan. They said, these people are actually talking to someone. The recording said there's nobody there, and they said, this person died actually in a tsunami. Because around 2018, there was a giant tsunami, and some people say after that tsunami happened, many people, including the taxi company, have started witnessing people where they see someone come in, then all of a sudden they just disappear, or there was nobody ever on the camera, as if that was actually one of the ghosts of whatever. And they always say once they find out where they go, or once they get to a certain position, or once they feel comfortable, they fade off and they finally are at rest. But the question is, why? How do spirits actually end up connecting with the human spirit world? Some people say they're stuck here. Maybe they're vibrations, like multiverse. I don't know. Maybe when you die, you go to another universe. Anyway. So these stories are very common. From place to place. How about from country to country? Here's a good common story. A rainy night. One common story goes like this, yeah. On the rainy night, a shopkeeper was closing up the shop. Tap, tap, tap on the window. Looking out, there was a woman standing in the rain, cold and drenched. He asked if he needed help. All she said is, "One candy, please." Even though the shop is closed, the shopkeeper felt sorry for the woman who sold her the candy, so he sold her candy. She paid with 1 mon, a very low denomination of coin, and then vanished. Let's look this up. A mon? Oh, that's the type of people. Okay. There we go. (1336 to 1891). It looks like Edo, Meiji. How far? Oh, before the Edo. Meiji era. Very low. Anyway. Next night, she came to the very same time, looking forlorn and disheartened. Again, she asked the shopkeeper in a voice so faint, "1 candy, please." Just like my voice. Apparently I can neither scream or be soft. That's why apparently some guy on a DeviantArt said he doesn't know if my voice is a man or a woman. That's not the first time someone told me that. The shopkeeper gave her a candy and paid with 1 mon. Every night for 6 months it kept playing out. On the 7th night, for 6 nights, sorry. She returned, but this time had no money. She presented a handful of leaves. He told her that he could not accept payment. "Then take this instead." She handed him a coat. He said, but she insisted. Finally, he gave in and accepted the trade. Next day, a merchant passed through the town. He stopped at his friend's shop, and the shopkeeper told him of the strange woman who kept coming every night, and the coat she gave for payment. When the merchant saw the coat, he went white. He turned pale white. "That's the coat of my friend's wife." "Really? Perhaps it was she who gave her?" "That's impossible. She died a week ago. She was buried in this coat." The merchant and the shopkeeper looked at each other in disbelief. They went to the temple where she was buried to tell the high priest. The priest scolded them for believing it. Yeah, but here's the coat. Here's proof. Go over to the gravesite, and if it hasn't been loosened up by dirt, no one dug it up. Come on. I thought you were supposed to be a priest, bro. Sir. Afterwards, he took them to the woman's grave and showed them it was okay. When they reached the grave, they heard the unmistakable screaming of a newborn baby? Wow. They dug up the grave and discovered it was indeed the corpse's woman who had been visiting the shop. What's more, a living baby wrapped in cloth. The woman had given birth posthumously in her coffin. Okay, I keep hearing this word. After the death of the originator. Wait, no, it's not humorously, it's posthumously. Okay, how about this? Pronounce. Why not? that. I don't care. Let's see. How are you pronounced?
Posthumously. Always a stress on the first syllable. Or sometimes said as posthumously.
Posthumously.
Sound. Posthumously. Or
Posthumously.
posthumously.
Yeah, posthumously. Okay. I keep seeing that word. I keep saying posthumously. It's posthumously. Okay. Anyway, so the baby, apparently mommy died, it was wrapped up, and the baby just popped out. That's weird. Anyway, wrapped up in the baby were the 6 mostly eaten pieces of candy. You can't give baby candy and choke on it, which was kept for the baby from starving during the week. Its mother was brought with the 6 months, traditionally placed in the corpse to pay the guardians of the underworld. Okay, now that sounds more like Egypt. You have, but then again, this was in the 1300s, between 13 and 1890s. This was the Meiji period. Maybe in Japan they had that tradition too. Anyway, they took the baby from the corpse and returned it to its family. Then they reburied the mother's body. And the corpse had a serene expression on its face, and the ghostly visitor to the candy store was never seen again. Okay, that's kind of strange, but still kind of normal. As I said, it's common. But the last part just was so weird. It's like, oh, here's some money from the underworld. I never heard any stories about Japanese beliefs of you pay the fairy. Again, that's Greece or maybe Egypt, because they say in Egypt they bury the character with stuff. In Rome or Greece, I think they have to say, here's a couple drachmas to take a boat to Hades. But other than that, it's just another one of those normal, simple ghost stories where the ghosts come around the town and they need help. Not every ghost, not every yokai, not every whatever it is evil, but it's just you turn cold because you don't expect someone to come popping up again. Okay. Well, again, I used to think there were supposed to be lessons for some of these, but sometimes it's just sad and scary and stuff. But just try not to be too worried about the dead, the afterlife, where you're going to go to, because you're going to go somewhere. Sadly, the question is where. That is the question. But you won't know where you're going to go to until you pass on. So just live the best life as you can with your friends and family, if you have any, and just have fun and be nice to each other.